Gary is always trying to improve his teaching and learning. He's heard of blended learning, so he asked me to explain what it is. Many would say it's a blend of traditional learning and electronic learning, because I guess that's what it manifests itself as in most adult learning, for example universities or corporate professional development. But in schools, I prefer to think about it as a blend between the traditional classroom and the flipped classroom. There's nothing wrong with your teacher-led activities that you've always done and are secure with. And there's nothing wrong with expecting kids to do a lot of learning on their own and self-manage their time in school. In fact, there's an awful lot right with both of these styles. What might be best is a choice about what particular blend of them is right for a particular topic or a particular group. For example, something like thermal radiation, the students can learn a lot of the key terms and basic rules on their own, and then have a whole lesson where they could conduct, analyse and evaluate a detailed practical. But nuclear radiation, well, they might not even be secure with subatomic particles. So a teacher might have to build up that concept more carefully in a classroom for them to get more out of the half-life demo. Similarly, it would be good to think about the right blend for very enthusiastic top-set triple scientists or a less able core science group who are doing science because they have to. Let's consider this against the taxonomy. This one is just like Bloom's but a bit simpler. We want students to work at the higher end of the taxonomy for as long as possible, but without the foundational and the operational, there can be no conceptual and no hope of the evaluative. In a traditional model, you start your lesson introducing the topic. You then build on this with some tasks which teach the learners how to use what they've just learned. Then you assess how well they've got it. You might have got some time for the conceptual, but probably very little time for the evaluative. Maybe you set them some homework to challenge them, or more likely some homework which goes over what they've already done in the hope they'll remember what they've learned in the lesson. In a blended model, you would always set them something to prepare for the lesson, which may or may not be e-learning. This might be as simple as learning some important definitions or diagrams. They arrive at the lesson with some familiarity with the topic, and having had some time to think about the bits they do or do not get. You can get straight on to the operational tasks and get to the conceptual and evaluative skills sooner. This makes the most out of the expert, the teacher, who has the skills and experience to nurture this more challenging learning. Any homework can be of a high level and more self-led by the learners. The intent for the next lesson is shared and the students instructed on how to prepare for that. The brilliant thing about blended learning is you can start doing it straight away, with very little effort. Simply look forward to next week's lessons and set your classes some foundational learning to prepare themselves for them. This might be as simple as a few YouTube videos or labelling up a key diagram, reading and highlighting a piece of text. Blended learning creates natural personalisation. It's at its best when there's some kind of assessment of foundational learning before the lesson, and this is where online learning platforms can be very powerful. But if you don't fancy this, what about a quick multiple choice quiz at the start of the lesson? This will help you think about how well the students have got what they have learned on their own, and where you need to pitch the lesson, or who might need to spend more time going over and over the foundational learning. In summary then, blended learning involves a choice of blend for each topic in each group. Always involves students preparing in advance for lessons. Uses teacher time and skills more effectively. Allows assessment for learning earlier in learning cycles. Engages students in the journey of learning that they're on, and means students can spend more time working at higher levels of taxonomy.